In the Soviet era, the Iron Curtain referred to the borders separating Eastern and Western Europe. But in 2025, this term is gaining a new meaning. Some NATO countries are planning to build a new Iron Curtain made of landmines. Ukraine is taking the lead with a 3,000 kilometers, 1,864 miles, border filled with mines along its border with Russia. And it's not just Ukraine. 5 NATO countries are also considering building their own Iron Curtains, bringing back the use of anti-personnel mines as Europe prepares for potential war with Russia. Let's start with Ukraine. On July 15th, Euromaidan Press reported that Ukraine has agreed to temporarily suspend the Ottawa Convention. We'll explain what this convention is later, but in short, it bans the use of anti-personnel landmines. Ukraine has been fighting a country that completely ignores this convention for over 3 years, and now it plans to respond in kind by suspending the convention temporarily so that it can use landmines again. Why? Ukraine wants to line its entire 1,864-mile border with Russia and Belarus with mines to make it extremely difficult for Russian forces to enter the country. This is the new Iron Curtain, but instead of walls and other border defenses, Ukraine plans to use landmines to keep Russia out. Roman Kostenko, the secretary of Ukraine's Parliament Committee on National Security, said Ukraine has no choice. Given the long border with Russia and Belarus, a minefield several dozen kilometers wide is necessary for defense. Kostenko stated that Ukraine's current defenses aren't enough, as the enemy often bypasses them, and they aren't always positioned correctly. Fortifications need to be protected or be part of a combined system with mine barriers. One without the other won't work. This is a significant move. Ukraine is about to break a treaty that was created to protect against the dangers of landmines. Not because it wants to, but because it believes it's necessary due to Putin's invasion and Russia's willingness to use mines to destroy Ukraine's forces. To understand why this decision is so crucial, we need to look closer at the Ottawa Convention. Signed in late 1997, the convention called for a global ban on the use of anti-personnel mines in warfare. The treaty was open for countries to join, and it currently has 165 parties. However, Russia is not one of them, according to the Arms Control Association. That's the problem. The UN states that the treaty has almost completely stopped the production of anti-personnel landmines since it began. It's also led to the destruction of around 48 million stockpiled landmines, with all signatories handing over their mines. The treaty also offers support to people injured by landmines and has set up systems to remove these mines from the land of the nations that have joined. So, the Ottawa Convention's main goal is clear. The goal of the Ottawa Convention is to eliminate all anti-personnel mines so they can no longer be used to kill and injure during war. That's a noble cause, but the problem is that Russia hasn't signed the treaty and has been using landmines to cause destruction in Ukraine. For over 3 years, Ukraine has followed the Ottawa Convention's rules, even while dealing with Russia's landmine attacks. But now, Ukraine has had enough. By withdrawing from the treaty, Ukraine is free to build a new Iron Curtain of mine-based defenses to protect its land from Putin's forces. This would be big news on its own, but it gets even bigger. Ukraine isn't the only European country leaving the Ottawa Convention. 5 others, Finland, Poland, Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia, are also in the process of withdrawing. Together with Ukraine, these 5 NATO members are formally stepping away from the treaty. This opens the door for the new Iron Curtain to stretch far beyond Ukraine's borders with Russia and Belarus. Soon, we might see hundreds of miles of uninhabited border areas lined with anti-personnel mines. The reason for this is simple. These NATO countries are withdrawing because they're seriously concerned about what Russia is doing both inside their borders and near them. The actions taken between March and June 2025 are driven by regional governments who see a growing security threat after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, according to United 24. For Ukraine, the reasoning is straightforward. It has been fighting an unjust war for over 3 years. The country's foreign ministry stated on June 29th that when Ukraine signed and ratified the Ottawa Convention, the situation it now faces was unforeseeable. As a result, Ukraine finds itself in an unequal position, which limits its right to self-defense, as outlined in Article 51 of the United Nations Charter. For Ukraine, it's all about defending itself. For the other 5 nations withdrawing from the treaty, building a new Iron Curtain is about preparing for what's ahead, and each has its own strong reasons for doing so. Starting with Finland, the country has been closely monitoring Russia's troop buildup and the revitalization of old military infrastructure near its border.